Don't leave me hanging. It's go time.
Hey everybody, this is Josh, and welcome to another fascinating game of StarCraft 2. This one is being played between Duckload Ra, or White Ra. He is the red Protoss up here in the top left corner of Shakuras Plateau, and I do believe it is the ladder edition. Yes, there are no destructible rocks back here, so it is the current Blizzard 1v1 ladder map edition of Shakuras Plateau, not one of these crazy ones with the destructible rocks and forced spawn locations and all that stuff. I'm not even sure what these guys are saying. This game was played on the Russian ladder for Battle.net. I have no idea who SDA is, but he must be a high-level Terran player, or he would not have met up with White Ra, most likely, in that 1v1 ladder on the Russian server. I'm pretty sure White Ra is very high up probably in the Grandmaster League, but this game was just pulled from a replay pack that White Ra actually posted on his website, whitera.com. I think it's whitera.com anyway, but yeah, someone said to take a look at it. I did take a look at it. I liked it, so now I'm casting it. I've been doing a lot of sort of non-cast material lately on my channel, and I know that some of you have gotten kind of bored with it, so I'm going to get heavy back into casting. Actually, a lot of live stuff has been taking up my time recently. I'm casting live now on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday nights on various channels. Only Tuesday night is it actually my channel, justin.tv/joshsub, but I will try to keep you guys all aware of when I'm going to be casting live, and one way that you can keep up easily is to follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/AskJoshy. I always say, you know, a couple hours before I go live, I usually test the stream a little bit, play some Star Jeweled as well before I actually go live for those casts. Or you could like me on facebook.com/AskJoshy, and I try to announce everything there as well. So live casts, going to be a lot of them, especially in May when Complexity Gaming launches their huge 1,024-man open tournament with $5,000 in prizes. That registration is already full, but I'm sure there will be some people dropping out, so maybe you could still get in. I'll go ahead and link in the video description if I don't forget. If I did forget, I'm sure one of you lovely commenters on YouTube will remind me anyway. But here we go. Now the game is actually starting to unfold a little bit. We do have PvT horizontal spawns on the ladder edition of Shakuras Plateau, which of course, again, means no destructible back rocks, so the game does play out a little bit differently than perhaps you would imagine. These horizontal spawns are essentially the same as cross spawns. It almost reminds me of Kulas Ravine, where basically no matter where your enemy is, you basically have to go through the middle of the map no matter what. So White Ra not choosing to wall off, of course, there's no real reason to. Against a Terran opponent, the Marines aren't quite as fast as Speedlings running into your mineral line. SDA is going to be getting a Marauder with Concussive Shell quite quickly, while White Ra is just going to get his Warp Gate tech, try to get out a couple of units, and get that second Assimilator online here in just a moment. Single Probe and Single Zealot chase away that Scouting SCV. You'll notice the layout around the Xel'Naga Tower is a bit different on this ladder edition as well. There are no longer destructible rocks separating the Xel'Naga Tower from these bases, and the bases are actually different as well. They're sort of tucked in to the mains, but it looks like this Zealot and Probe combo did manage to kill off that SCV, but now SDA coming right back, killing off that SCV, or killing off that Probe rather, and he really should not have lost a Marine there. There's no reason for that. He could have just ran for his life and waited for that Concussive Shell research to finish, but now that it is finished, SDA not microing his units, running, basically headbutting this Stalker in the face. There's no reason that Marauder should have died either, so it does look like whoever SDA is, he might not be quite on the same level as White Ra as far as micro and multitasking and things like that. But White Ra is dropping a second gateway now, as well as that Nexus there at his expansion. You should have seen that. I didn't have to mention it, but now a second barracks coming up for STA, or SDA, as well as that command center that we saw just a moment ago. So both players expanding off of just a couple of Tier 1 production facilities. Not sure what is going to be happening next with either player. It could just be bio for a while for SDA, or gateway units for a while from White Ra. He does have a couple of sentries blocking his ramp just in case a boatload of units shows up at his front door unannounced. But gateway number 3 also coming online here for White Ra. He does have a pylon way over on the right side of his base. It doesn't really do him much good to warp onto the low ground here, but if he warps down here, it actually will cut the run distance by a little tiny bit. So also it's good for spotting drops, of course, and things like that. He might also want a pylon over near the back to try and help spot for medevacs. Another pylon on the far left of his base to try and get at least vision of his main. Factory looks like that silhouette is finishing up. There we go. Factory being dropped right there for SDA. We have a couple of different add-ons here. On the first 3 barracks, 2 tech labs, and a reactor. What is he researching now? Stim pack, of course. The most vital upgrade for any bio-heavy composition. Concussive shells are nice in the early game. They can help ward away zealots and stalkers and sentries and things like that. But after that, you know, Stimpack just provides the biggest DPS boost of almost any upgrade out there, especially if you've got a large number of these bio units. Free probe kill there. Now SDA can just head back home or back over to the watchtower. White Raw, not too happy about losing his probe there. Oh, and check the production tab. He's actually getting a Stargate up from that far left pylon, so perhaps going to see some Phoenixes or Void Rays coming along. Back in the beta, they were known as White Rays or Void Raws because he used them so much and was very, very good at controlling them. Free Marine kill for White Raw. This is kind of weird how many units are just dying for no reason in this game so far. But bunker number 2 coming for SDA. He realizes White Raw has a force that might actually, you know, be a little bit worrisome. So he's going to build up some defenses here. Next, we have a starport coming up, and a reactor on that factory means that the starport switch is, you know, very probable. Should be lifting off any moment whenever it finishes to tag on to that reactor, get some medevacs out. There hasn't been any hint at Colossus tech yet, no robotics facility or anything like that, so he should be building medevacs out of this reactor starport and not any Vikings, at least for the time being. Of course, the great thing about it is you can switch anytime you need to. Whoa, check this out. Second Stargate, no Phoenix or Void Ray being built, and a fleet beacon very quickly, so I'm not sure if that's going to be for fast air weapon upgrades or a fast mothership or what. We'll just have to keep an eye on White Raw's production tab up there, but right now, back at SDA's base, he is just getting his first round of medevacs out. Oh, carrier and Graviton Catapult. If you don't know what Graviton Catapult is, it makes the carrier launch interceptors more quickly. That's the entire description of it. So basically it shoots those interceptors out way faster than it would normally. Such a good upgrade, I guess, if you ever go carriers, which no one ever does. So White Raw was streaming this game live. He was asking his chat what they wanted to see, and people said, hey, why don't you try some mass carriers, Mr. White Raw? He said, okay, I'll do anything for my fans, because White Raw cares, ladies and gentlemen. He is going to build some carriers here. SDA still does not have any scouting information. He's sending this big fat factory over here to eventually arrive and see what's going on, but all the tech hidden in one spot right now. No mothership on the way either. Of course, that is a huge gas and mineral sink. You need 400 gas just to even begin building that. It looks like SDA is going to try a bit of a drop here. He does have quite a few units dropping out of these 2 medevacs, but he's not controlling them the best that he could be. Finally, he stims up, he runs in, and he's trying to kill off the Cybernetics core very quickly, which is interesting. Only 150 minerals to replace that, but does mean he won't be able to build any stalkers or sentries to warp in and try and stop this. Another pylon goes down, and SDA actually gets out of there without too much damage taken to his own forces. I like that. He did actually manage to kill another pylon here, and he's pressing at the front with another smaller force. White Rock could actually be in trouble here just because he went for carriers so quickly. This sentry and zealot force should be fine to take out all those little guys there at the natural, but back in the main, he's losing probes now. He did lose that pylon that we saw a second ago. He's at 87 out of 100 supply. All he's got right now are 2 carriers that are still building interceptors. They are going to try and focus down this medevac, but they fire just so slow when they're chasing. I don't know what's going on there. I don't think the carriers are actually going to be able to catch the medevacs, even though medevac speed has been nerfed in the past, but White Raw still pursuing there with these little banana ships. And the factory is just hanging out overhead of these carriers, so the next one that pops out should be able to just start attacking it, eventually kill it off, but looks like there's no way. Did he just kill those medevacs? There's no way. He just killed one of the medevacs. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to do picture-in-picture now. But yeah, White Raw continuing on into the main, focusing down some SCVs very quickly. White Raw actually does have a supply lead, and after killing off a few SCVs, he does have a harvester lead as well, 52 to 47. They do kill these supply depots pretty quickly. We have 2 carriers at a time being built now. Here comes some Vikings. Like I said, the great part about having that reactor starport is you can build some Vikings very quickly if you no longer need medevacs, and 1 carrier is definitely going to go down. The second one should go down as well. White Raw realizes that these Vikings will just chase it to death, so he just turns around and starts shooting back, although I don't know if that carrier is going to survive all the way back home. Let's watch how these Vikings do against a defenseless, poor little carrier. One more volley should do it, and that's the first two carriers handled by SDA. White Raw has started to expand again, and SDA is expanding again, so soon we'll both be on 3 bases. This carrier here could just hit stop and kill this factory right now, as well as the next carrier that'll be out in just about 20 seconds or so. Mothership is being made now. Is that coming out of the main? Nope. Coming out of the natural over here, and a scan just went down. Seeing that chrono-boosted Nexus with the giant laser beam towards space could be a good hint that a mothership is on the way, so SDA might attack here soon. He does have a pretty large force, nice size fighting force here. If he can manage to focus down those carriers, he might actually be able to do quite a lot of damage. SDA going to lose his big fat scouting factory. It is going to burn down regardless at this point, whether the carriers kill it or not, but there it goes. Big ol' explosion in the sky. SDA looks like he is ready to pounce after losing that factory. He does have only 117 supply against White Raw's 130, so he is at a little bit of a disadvantage. We'll see how much damage he actually manages to do, though. These Vikings are going to be pivotal, and the stimmable Marines with their combat shields really need to get in there and kill these carriers fast. All the Zealots and Sentries dropping some force fields, going to be able to pin those Marauders and Marines back at the bottom of the ramp. Vikings not really doing too much yet. Oh no, the Interceptors actually take out one of the Vikings very quickly. SDA may have wanted to wait a bit longer until he had some more Vikings out, but the carriers doing their job against the Vikings, and once those guys are gone, the Zealots and Sentries will be able to start cleaning up on those ground forces. Good force fields again out of White Raw, going to pin all those units in place for the Zealots to surround. This carrier lives with only 6 HP, still training Interceptors on autocast, obviously. Build Interceptor, such an easy thing to just autocast and forget about. But that's 6 HP carrier. I want to see how many kills he has, but he's busy building Interceptors all the time. The mothership is about done. It's going to be here very shortly, and the 3 carriers still just floating around like a boss. I don't know how much detection SDA actually has. He's got a couple of scans saved up there at his main, at least one more there at his natural. The 3rd base is online now as well and does have energy for some scans. It looks like he has been saving up, or he's just bad at macro. You never really know with these guys. Twilight Council is up as well in case White Raw's carriers don't work out. He's actually dropping a 2nd Twilight Council here, which I cannot explain in the least. The only thing that could be useful for is getting Charge and Blink at the exact same time, but if he wanted to do that, why didn't he just start researching Charge and then Blink? They would be done by the time this Twilight Council could finish it. But either way, let's just assume White Raw did this for a reason. Maybe the stream viewers asked him to please build 2 Twilight Councils. No, he did. He did cancel it. Finally, does start chrono boosting out Zealot Charge as well. So Zealot Carrier, the unit composition of the day. He does have 4 of them online now with this mothership. No detection here for SDA, so this mothership could be very, very useful here. The carriers, of course, doing a ton of damage to all these Marauders who cannot hit air. Marines, unless you get them to focus down the carriers, will just shoot away at those Interceptors over and over, and they're so cheap to rebuild. White Raw just has Build Interceptor right-clicked so that it can just continue forever. 4 kills for that carrier. That was the one that was building constantly earlier with only 6 health remaining. Yep, only 6 health. That's pretty crazy. Let's see how many more kills it actually manages to rack up. Cloaking field effect from that mothership, of course, very handy to have. Dark Shrine being built back in the main, 2 carriers at a time, still being produced out of those 2 Stargates. Air Weapons level 1 coming along now. That's going to help this entire fleet do some sick damage to all these poor little Marines. Lots of Vikings in the air now, though. Let's see how effective SDA can micro to try and kill all that off. He's also doing a drop in the main once again, focusing down a gateway very quickly for some reason. Not sure if that's the best use of this huge uninterrupted attacking force, but actually stopped attacking one gateway and started on another, and by then all the carriers showed up and the mothership almost even arrived in time to stave that off. Not a single thing was killed there, but now we have another engagement here. All the Vikings landing now, so this is really interesting that all these Vikings could have just shot a few different volleys at that mothership and killed it off. Instead, he is killing off the ground forces with all of his stimmable Marines and Marauders and all those landed Vikings. So now this is where we really see, is SDA going to be good or bad at focusing? There goes down the mothership, so it looks like that was really good. Now he needs to pick a target. We see 3 different carriers taking damage. There we go. And it looks like SDA might not have enough forces. Wow, that is a lot of Interceptors, and they did have their +1 attacks already finished, so White Raw is going to be able to clean out all the rest of those Vikings. All he has left now are these ground-to-ground Marauders, so he's going to try and take out a Nexus. No chance of that happening with the forces that White Raw has right overhead. That was a pretty interesting combination of events there. SDA already back in the main, killing off probes again. At least this guy has the Terran fighting spirit. He is not giving up just because carriers keep absolutely mauling every single one of his attacks. Here comes another carrier with those +1 weapons. How many Marines is going to be able to kill? He's got 2 already just by showing up, and he's going to kill that medevac full of units. That only registers as 1 kill, but this carrier just killed an entire octo drop by himself without losing any shields. That's how sick carriers are, ladies and gentlemen, against someone who doesn't have great micro. DT's coming in now for White Raw. He's going to start terrorizing this poor SDA person by killing off all of his SCVs and mules. That is just so cruel. And of course, he did just drop a ton of mules, so he doesn't have any energy for scans. He's going to lose lots and lots of SCVs here. White Raw not even needing to use his carriers. It's pretty incredible what just a couple of Dark Templar can do. This one's got 5 kills, 6 kills before the scan, and the kill from SDA. There's also Dark Templar back here just soloing a Marauder. Poor little guy. What a weird life. What a terrible life, actually. Just 1 Dark Templar stalking you and killing you. Oh my goodness. But a couple of scans do go down. SDA clears out the Dark Templar, but he has another problem. There are 6 carriers still alive here. They have +1 weapons. There's another mothership on the way, another starport being dropped for SDA. Right now he's got 6 racks, 1 factory, and a 2nd starport. He did lose his scouting factory earlier, so he did have to rebuild that in order to get another starport. Another Dark Templar coming in here, but of course SDA was smart enough to build a turret finally at his natural. Not fast enough here at the 3rd, though. He did have to drop another scan and finish off that DT. It's nothing but stimmable Marines right now with 2/2 upgrades, and those can actually kill carriers quite quickly. Kill carriers quite quickly, kill carriers quite quickly, kill carriers quite quickly. Had to say that 3 times fast. And if they stim up and they focus down this one with 6 HP first, he could be in good shape. He really needs to be sure that he can focus all this down. Of course, the mothership is going to present a whole new set of problems. He will have to drop scan after scan or focus down that mothership first, and it can be hard to reach if he keeps it hidden in the back. Templar Archive coming along now for White Raw. He's got basically every kind of tech you could ever want. DT's headed still over into that main. Here we go. The Vikings taking the first volley at this mothership. The Marines killing off interceptors like crazy. There was no scan, so we take SDA vision. That was all cloaked until the mothership died just a moment ago. But so many Marines just died. There are barely any medevacs here to heal them back up after that stim. He can't really stim again, or the carriers would just pick them apart. There are 7 carriers here, all with good health, and SDA does not even want to tangle with that. He's got 144 supply to 167 of White Raw, who is rebuilding that mothership for the 3rd time. Harvester count 85 for White Raw, now on 4 bases, against 57 for SDA, still on 3, and he lost a ton of SCVs, actually 2 mining bases now that this is mined out. White Raw did give up on his main as well. But still, just look at that income tab and you can see the domination that White Raw's got going on right now. Mothership number 3 on its way, but I don't know if the game will last this long. White Raw could just mow over him with the carrier and the stalker force that he has right now, and the DTs, of course, still being super annoying. Protoss air weapons level 2 coming along. I'm not sure where the bulk of White Raw's army is right now, but he's still just sending harassing SCVs constantly. Even though there's a turret here, SDA doesn't have any fighting forces to get rid of them. The carriers and the Guardian Shield going up, so all these carriers should be protected by Guardian Shield. Yeah, damage reduced by 2, and every time an interceptor flies in there, they're taking less damage as well. It looks like these carriers are actually being focused down one at a time, which is great, but the number of zealots, stalkers, and carriers overhead mean that those forces won't be able to do diddly squat. It is now 158 supply against 75, and that is going to be the GG from SDA. Poor little guy playing on the Russian ladder. White Raw, you have to imagine getting matched up against White Raw on the Russian server is like, I don't know, meeting the best player in Russia on the ladder, I suppose. But White Raw just absolutely crushed him. Didn't even have to do anything. He basically just sat in his base, sent out a few DTs here and there, and massed carriers. So such a fun little game there from the White Raw replay pack. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Mothership number 3 never did actually make it out, unfortunately, but Psystorm was on the way, Mothership was on the way, 2 more carriers. White Raw basically just rebuilding whatever he lost in those skirmishes and holding it down like a boss. Thank you very much for watching. I'll bring you some more casts here in the very near future. Please stick around and watch my live casts. I'm doing them Monday, Tuesday, and Friday next week, and later tonight. Today is Friday, April 22nd. So go check out my live stuff. Keep watching the cast here on YouTube. I love you all. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.